From fabulous Los Angeles, California, Hollywood, home of the stars, the magic factory where dreams come true, culture capital of the world, jewel of the Pacific, it's the Adam Carolla Show.
Yeah, get it on. Got to get it on. No choice but to get it on. Mandate. Get it on. And welcome to the show. Good day, Allison Rosen.
Hello, Adam Carolla.
And Bald Brian.
Daddy, wipe my butt.
Oh, them kitties. Miss them kitties. They're out on a little vacation. So.
Oh, who's wiping the butt?
It's just me and Olga hanging around, drinking a little mangria. Penny for your thoughts, baby. Just unwinding. Lee Cheng is coming in here. He's a, I think he's an attorney. Yeah, he's won a couple of victories. Most notably, there's a company that sued Nordstrom's and Macy's and Home Depot for the digital shopping carts. Again, more patent trolling stuff. We're on a roll, and he is on a roll because he wants to do away with the scourge, and we're going to get into it with him, and we'll bring him in a couple of few. First, a few things to get into. What we're going to do is Allison's going to get into her news. Since I love doing the news, although you wouldn't know it if you listen to the show. I really do love doing the news. It's just we have so many interesting guests, and we get into all these other things and all these stories. We somehow just cram it into the last 8 minutes of the show, and I would like to hear some more news. So what we thought we would do is bring Lee in after we do the news, and we can get started early with some news. And I know it's the holiday, and many of you are on vacation and so on and so forth, so we'll probably do a shorter show tonight. All right, let's do some news. What do you say?
The news with Allison Rosen.
She'll read some news from her iPad. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. It's Allison. And when it's time to wrap it up, she'll sign it off with zip it cunt. It's Allison.
Well, see, and part of the reason we don't get to the news oftentimes is because I have something that I need to say before we get to the news. And once again, it's happened. You just said that...
That was the news with Allison Rosen.
If you have a T-shirt printed up, it means you're serious. But here's what I want to know. Which means you're most serious? Business card, T-shirt, or CD?
All things that used to mean more when I was a kid. When I was a kid, if somebody said, I'm the Prince of Persia, and I'd go, please, you live above me in an apartment in North Hollywood. If you produced a card that said Bob Johnson, Prince of Persia, I'd be
apologize.
Takes a big man to apologize, but here goes.
I knew one guy in high school who had a business card. It just had his name and his phone number on it, and he was Persian.
Really?
This is unusual for the Bay Area. In L.A., it's much more common. In the Bay Area, it was like,
sure.
Oh, this guy's official. I'm not sure what he's official about, but he's official.
There is something that used to be superficial. All right, now bigger picture. We now need to think of all the things that you formerly didn't used to have at home or didn't have on yourself that now are sort of commonplace. For instance,
the internet?
Yeah. No, like there are things like there's no way anyone had a video game. Like even a larger video game or like an arcade style game, like at their house, or even or for a popcorn maker. For the Carollas, it was like owning your own bowling ball or golf clubs or just anything. Like you wouldn't have the equipment. If you played hockey, you wouldn't have all your hockey equipment.
Have to rent it.
You'd rent skates. You wouldn't have skates. Like I feel like it's a little part and parcel of the CDs and the business cards and all that kind of stuff where you just sort of have your own fill in the blank. Maybe it's China. Maybe it's buying everything on Amazon.
Well, it used to be that you couldn't even own phones. When I was young, very young, you had to rent them.
It's true. You rented them from Ma Bell.
You know what's maybe a yuppie version of this, but I feel like I see it everywhere, is people making their own soda. It's like, you make your own soda? The soda stream. I think you have one, don't you?
SodaStream. Yeah,
everyone has their own
sponsor.
soda maker.
That's a very good point, which is a soda fountain in your house, or at least something close to it would have been insane. Hell, we had a popcorn maker that we got from Blue Chip Trading Stamps catalog or something. That was considered unbelievable to the Carollas. So there's this whole thing where everyone just has their own thing now. And, my daughter ice skates, and she's got her ice skates, and she's got the little protective things, and she has the little outfit, and she has everything she needs. And then 2 years from now, she'll get more skates when her feet grow. Although I'm going to bind them.
Oh, that's smart.
Mm-hmm.
Does she have her own ice skating skate bag? Because that was my favorite part of paraphernalia was always the thing that you held it in. Like the ballet bag.
And by the way, if your name was embroidered on said skate bag, look out, world. So I guess it's a computer or scanners or something. But T-shirts, back in the day, you could get a T-shirt made up. You'd have to go to a place called Chicken Shirts or something. There was a few of them out here. They'd hold the thing over a great big press. It's got to be the worst.
Silk screen?
It's like, no, not a silk screen, the hot iron press.
Oh, okay.
Worst apparatus for days over 100 degrees job on the planet. That and asphalt spreader. Where you'd literally, and then you'd take this thing where you'd go, you'd write that thing out where it was like, it'd be like Kimbo's Kids, and then it'd be like Happy 25th Anniversary, Grandpa, and then they'd hold the thing down, and then it'd be like yellow with red lettering. It'd be that weird vinyl stick-on thing, and it was always a T-shirt that had the different color sleeve band on it. The tight one that looks horrible if you have skinny arms, but looks hot if you have big arms.
The crest over the shoulder, you mean? Or
no, it's called a ringer tee.
The ringer, yes, it was the ringer tee. It's what you'd use if you started a softball team. You'd have to go down to this place and get some T-shirts made up.
Did your parents, I don't know why your parents ever would, but did your parents ever iron on numbers or letters onto shirts for you? Like something like with a family reunion, something?
Never.
It's a bad example.
But no, I know what you're saying. Bad for the Carollas. But yes, they did not own an ironing board. We did, at one point, long before the whole Seinfeld episode, we did print up a T-shirt for the guy who could go the longest without beating off. We had
Your parents? Your friends.
They were in the mix, but they didn't actually go down to the crazy shirt fight. It just said cold jerky on it, and it had Velcro on it for day number whatever. And the possessor of the shirt was the guy who won the longest. And to me, this was, there's certain competitions that I'm not interested in. Like, it's fun to do the Long Beach Grand Prix, but seeing if you can chug a gallon of milk for free, it's just, how's this going to end? Either you've just taken in 700,000 calories and you're going to have diarrhea for 3 weeks, or you're going to yak somewhere around quart number 2, or...
Whose respect are you earning, really?
Yeah, that's really, that's one of those things. Like, this is one of those competitions where, let's see who can put the most cigarettes out on each other's ass. What's in it for me?
You're right. The unpredictability is what makes... At the end of the Long Beach Grand Prix, someone's going to win. Someone's going to wave a flag. There might be a crash, but probably not. At the end of this, who knows what's going to happen?
Right. So I said I will not participate in this tomfoolery for a second, and I immediately pulled out of the competition. But the record went on to 19 days, I think.
Wow.
The girls allowed? Because in Seinfeld, Elaine participated.
There were no... no one had a girlfriend, and we were pretty consistent at the time. But, yes, I do remember. There was some controversy whether it was 19 or 20 days or whatever it is. But
who won?
The shirt was my buddy Rudy won, who's now 30 years later featured in the show Hoarders. So he was hoarding his own semen in his own bag.
Well, the coolest thing I had that you could do at home was a make-your-own button maker.
Ooh.
Those laminated buttons. The thing
Press.
is that we didn't, there was the expensive one where it had kind of a crank thing and you just pulled it down and it made the button well. And then there was the one where it really took a lot of arm strength to push it as hard as you could, and that's the one we had. But it allowed me to make my own Michael Jackson buttons, which I wore to Knott's Berry Farm when I was 9. A whole bunch of them.
There was a lot of stuff that was make your own, but it was before it seemed to be no parental supervision. There was like these creepy crawler hot plate things where you would plug it in. There's a lot of things involved heat. Yeah. You would plug it in like the Easy Bake Oven, but this was almost like a waffle iron. It would get hot, and then you would take this cancerous gelatinous goo and you'd into this mold, and then you would cook it, and then it would come out as this weird creepy crawler thing. Someone will find something on eBay or something and show it to you. But anyway, what the fuck were we talking about? Oh, yeah.
So glad we got to the news
Buttons.
early.
Well,
Buttons.
we're about to do news.
I feel. Tell me if you feel if this is a correct assessment.
Weren't we doing the news?
My parents never wore a button with me or anyone. They didn't even say McGovern on there, but nobody wore buttons in my family. I feel like per capita, African American women over 230 pounds wear more buttons than the rest of the skinny blonde populace combined.
I feel like they're the accurate assessment.
Oh, there's the creepy crawlers. Yeah, it was literally a hot plate, and you'd plug it in, and there's molds of like salamanders and
so
stuff.
you can make your own worms and insects out of rubber.
Now we weren't rich enough to possess one of these, but I always had a friend. I could figure out all the games. Oh, Chris Bohm, he had the electronic battleship, and Max Truex had the Stratego game. And this guy named Ivan had this game. Like, I always knew who had what, and then I could just go to their house and play that.
What do I feel like playing today? Go over to that person's house.
Yeah. No, because Carolla's, if it plugged in or took batteries, that was the criteria. That's how it could not pass the threshold of the Corollas,
Right.
or brought any joy. That was the third caveat. So, yes, creepy Corollas. Oh, what the hell are we talking about? Yeah.
You're talking about
wearing buttons. It is almost exclusively the domain of the heavy-set woman of color. I've seen many a sports documentary.
With the possible exception of TGI Fridays waitresses.
Oh, well, that's a requirement.
That's a requirement. That's flair.
Yeah, the required button, I'm not counting that. I'm saying go out, take your
button.
Picture your son holding a football on one knee and up in the stands. That is the domain of the, and I'm telling you, I'll bet you that button has saved many a black woman's life.
From shrapnel and...
Well, let's look at it this way. I would say the buttons per capita, more buttons worn in the more crime and more gunplay neighborhood, the higher the button ratio.
Okay.
Well, let's go down to the Palisades or Beverly Hills. Like, there's not a whole lot of button donning. You don't see the white chick walking through Whole Foods with the fucking button on.
No, the only place you'd see buttons there is outside the grocery store from someone who's soliciting illegally.
That's right. Yeah, selling
Ringing
the
a little
candles,
bell,
trying to
yeah.
get through college. So, a lot of buttons. Buttons worn above the heart, right on the heart, like pretty much. It's on there.
Vital organs.
And stray bullets flying around the button-laden neighborhood. How long and how many lives has those buttons saved? Countless dozens?
You're onto something.
I like when people give you a number and then go countless.
Yeah.
Well, you did say
Dozens,
countless dozens.
Innumerable hundreds.
Has anyone got any paper? We could figure this out.
Well, it's a factor of 12 for sure.
And, they're not big on calling the popo, especially on, no harm, no foul, grazed.
Dust yourself off.
Button dented, but other than
no need
that.
for the popo when you have buttons.
I'm saying this is a statistic that's not been kept. We need
Someone needs to boots on the ground.
boots on the ground.
No.
I'll bet you I can go to the inner city and everyone will have a story about being saved by button. Every one of them. Down to the woman, down to the 230-pound plus woman.
Mother load of inspirational stories, Adam. I also think
Mother load will be the name of the doc.
I also think
Got
that
loading of the gun and the mother loaded up.
You're listening to Malcolm Gladwell? It's your next book.
That's right.
I think as well a number of buttons sort of let people know when you're sneaking up behind them.
Ooh.
There's no stealthy button wearing
No.
because they click around.
Yeah, and you're down. There's something. There's a cause. There's a grandson. There's either a right that needs to be wronged, or you're very proud of somebody.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right. And I don't feel like there's a lot of dudes rocking buttons either. I feel it's the domain of the woman.
The flag lapel pin is sort of the guy version of the button.
Now, what about? I guess there's men who are into fishing. They just wear a bunch of lures on their hats.
They're lures. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
So
news.
Okay.
Huh?
Here we go.
What?
There's a woman, Elizabeth Mort, whose baby was taken away after she failed a drug test, and it turned out that she had had a poppy seed bagel that day. But because she failed the drug test, automatically her baby was taken away, and now the case has been settled. Her baby was returned 5 days later when they realized that there was no evidence of drugs, but she just won a settlement for $143,500, and the ACLU fought on behalf of her.
All right. but where'd she get the money from? Well, us.
The
or
hospital.
Somebody. Or the hospital. So she had priors, right?
No. Well, that's what I wondered at first, but it's hospital policy that drug tests are given to all obstetrics patients in this Pittsburgh hospital.
So they don't go, you don't go home high or whatever. The poppy seed. Always the card played by the junkie, but rarely turns it into a flush like this one.
Yeah.
This might be a question for Dr. Bruce, but does poppy seed bagels get you a tiny bit high, or does it tick off the same indicator that drugs would? You know what I mean?
It causes you to test a little bit positive for opiates because poppy flower.
Don't you? A couple things. The baby was not taken home from the hospital. Was that the deal, or was taken out of her house and to somewhere? I would argue that if you asked my wife and certainly my mom and anybody else, if we could take your 4-month off your hands for 5 days and put them in a safe place, they'll be fed, properly taken care of. It'd be how much? No, $145,000. Oh, I can't afford that. I'll give you $400. No, you don't get it. We're paying you. Oh, you're paying me to keep them the whole month.
This is all I know. It said a woman who had her newborn taken away because she failed a hospital drug test after she ate a poppy seed bagel. This is my understanding because my sister worked for in law, like family law, on the side of people whose kids had been taken away unfairly or unjustly. My understanding of what happens is that the state kind of steps in right away. Like the baby probably never went home with her.
Right. That's what I'm thinking. So the kid stays in the hospital for a few more days. Right.
I know drug users don't have the most foresight, but why wouldn't, if you're a junkie, you're taking drug tests a lot, why wouldn't you just keep a whole bunch of half-eaten poppy seed bagels around and walk in every drug test with a half-eaten poppy seed bagel? I'm like, oh, is that my drug test? Okay, let's put this down. You always have an out.
Yeah, I would. I absolutely would do that.
Well, this is a
You don't
Dr.
need to
Bruce
dignify
question.
that with an answer.
Okay. My sense is that they can do further testing to determine whether this was a poppy seed bagel or actual drugs.
You're now dignifying it.
Sorry.
But
Thank you.
All right. So 100, and I also wonder about this judgment, like 145. Like, is this a $150,000 infraction? No. Is it 100,000?
And it's a settlement.
That's 145.
I would have held out for more.
Yeah, I would do. But all right, here we go.
A company in Idaho.
Can I say this too, though? All right. I know it's a settlement. I know it's like everything's a fuck up. Like everything's like, oh, this evil hospital. Or what are they doing? Well, they're attempting to not let drug addicts take their kids home and then possibly hurt them in some horrific way, or
right.
Just OD and the kid just basically dies of exposure. You know what I mean? Like, where's the hospital's heart? The hospital's thinking maybe they have a problem, depending on what part of town they're in or who their clientele is. Maybe they have a problem with a lot or a significant number of young women coming in, giving birth, who are addicted to drugs. So they have this policy. And now the policy is being implemented because through the testing, because the poppy seed tests the same as an opiate, they then hold the child to protect the child. Like, I'm just saying, do we have to sue everybody?
Yeah, the regulation is if the test comes back positive for this thing, they followed regulations. This wrong has been righted, but it's sort of academic.
The reason we do that is for the safety of the child. And then we go, no, we're suing your ass. And we all understand, oh, well, that's the society we're in. But can we step back and go, why do they have this policy? So junkies don't bring their kids home and sell them for crack. Okay. Why did this test come up positive? Because poppy seeds are tested and come up the same way as opiates. All right. Then how long did they keep the kid? A month? No, 5 days. Did they injure the kid in any way? No, they took care of the child while they sorted this out. All right, well, then give the kid back and move on. Like, do you know what I'm saying?
You really feel like it's no harm, no foul?
No, here's what I'm saying. And I don't know all the minutia of the story. What I'm saying is this: there's a big difference in my mind when somebody says, right now, Matt Fondelier, the Porcelain Punisher, could say,
Boom.
I'm going to take the Ace Man's wheels. I'm going on a Tijuana run. I can get toilet paper half price over there. I know a guy. I put it, what I do is I have a compartment where I smuggle it into the fuel tank. I have an auxiliary fuel tank, but I have an extra shelf where I can smuggle it in. And he went on a run, and on his way back, he totaled my car. I'd be like, hey, fucking Matt, now I'm pissed. You didn't ask me. You were there to just go on, just with your own fetish and get your own your Tijuana toilet paper run, and you're doing all that. And he told my car. I'd be pissed. But if Matt grabbed my keys right now and said, you know what? I'm going to love the look on the Ace Man's face when he walks out to the parking lot and sees a sparkling car. I'm taking to the car wash, and we're going to get it all detailed for him. And then when he comes out and gets the car totaled, I'm not pissed at all. I'm not pissed at all, because his intention was a gesture to try to do something positive, and on the way, somebody clipped him, and now the car's totaled. Mm-hmm. So each time we have a totaled car, but I'm a total different mental disposition as it pertains to my totaled car. So the outcome's the same. The activity that led up to it is vastly different. To me, when I catch somebody, whether it's a hospital or an individual, trying to do something nefarious, they wanted to get paid extra, so they said the kid had meningitis and then kept the kid there while they were gouging the insurance company or something like that.
Or negligent, if they were somehow...
Negligent or, whatever. But if it's following protocol and procedure, and the procedure is put in place to try to protect the child, and then this thing tests positive and they're going to try to protect the child, no, I don't think there has... Yes, somebody's harmed. We're all harmed when we go through the airport. We take our shoes off. We have to fucking stand in that, and we stand in a never-ending line. I mean, when you take the amount of travel that I do, or other comedians do, or business people do, and you spread that airport line out over the course of 5 years, I literally have 3 weeks of my life eaten up standing in my fucking socks in a line. I don't like that. I'd like to be compensated for that 3 weeks time I spent standing in my socks and doing something an activity that I never thought I'd engage in, and there should be a competition, which is putting my belt and shoes on the move. It's something I don't do at home. There should be an airport competition. Terminal Wars.
I'm glad you're bringing this up, because I never know.
Hold on. Terminal velocity. It's the speed you leave. All right, here's how it all starts.
Thank you for. Yeah, I need to know, because I never know. Like, do I try to get my shoes back on here? Because usually I'll put on one shoe and then I'll hop over to a bench. I don't know what to do.
That bench is for the elderly and pussies.
Oh, no.
Terminal Wars. Every team starts off at the end of the conveyor belt. You have shoes, watch, wallet,
belt.
Sometimes you have a laptop out of the laptop bag.
Belt, laptop, and phone in said weird, super unpleasing gray bin color. I don't know who decided.
Yeah. Do I bust my dishes in it, or do I put my shit in it?
Why does it have to be prison gray? Like, why can't those bins just be red or white or black? Just fucking choose a color. Why the most depressing institutional color there is? But anyway. All right. You then, when the starting pistol's fired.
That'll go great in an airport.
Well, we do this all on set.
Okay.
This is all, we just make this on a huge soundstage. You have a 100-yard course. At some point, you want to pick up bonus points. You swing
100 yards.
100 yards.
Wow.
Your terminal's right at the end. Yep. It's all the way at the end.
Okay, you got to get to your gate.
Yeah, the gate. Sorry, the gate's all the way at the end. It's 100 yards. You want bonus points, you swing by the Cinnabon. There's also Orange Julius and the duty-free shop. It was all laid out.
Yeah. Do you get more points or fewer points if you have your license in your mouth?
Interesting. Again, these are all techniques and all strategies. When you get to the end, belt must be in and buckled, laptop in computer bag, zipped shut, both shoes on. No loafers, please. Mm-hmm. Loafers are not for closers. I think Baldwin said that in one of his movies.
Version of something.
Some version of that. Yeah, belt and then the scrutineering. I would love to be a scrutineer. I could scrutinize, you know?
Scrutiny.
I walk around the guy with the
Someone who
clipboard.
scrutinizes, but with vision.
I'm quite familiar with that phrase.
Scrutineering. I walk around the
You feel like
back.
Gription?
Feeling pretty good about yourself because you got your shoes on. I noticed you went with the high top lace-ups for bonus points.
Please use a laser.
Guess who missed the loop? What? Person feeling feverishly behind them. Oh, shit. Missed the loop. Oh, come on. I went through the important loops on this.
All
That's
loops.
a deduction. All loops must be hit. Mm-hmm. Wallet, you know. Maybe wallet in back pocket, but turns out the flap of the wallet, the inner flap part's on the outside of the
That's
wallet.
no good.
You put the
Scrutineering
license in
deduction.
backwards. The license is backwards, not the window.
Ooh. Deduction.
Oh, you know what else would be a deduction?
Mm.
If you zip up whatever bag you have by just pulling on the two zippers, but you don't get them all the way closed. If you got the puckered
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
opening, that's not going to work.
Yeah, and I need the handle retracted once we finish that for the scrutineering part. Anyway, terminal velocity. Oh boy,
It's a hit!
get Vin Bona on the blower. This is going to be huge. Hey, listen, who's Vin Bona?
That's what I just said.
Oh, Vin Bona. He's done like America's Funniest Videos, whatever, for like 400 seasons and did all that, like people are cute and animals are stupid. Remember all those Sunday night shows? I don't need a picture of Vin Bona. I need a list of the hit list of the million TV shows. Vin Bona does a show. It stays on for 35 years. So we'll get him on the blower.
He'd be perfect.
He'll get that. Maybe we'll get like Sajak to host or something like that. You know, again, I'm going to be scrutineering.
Yep.
Get some hot chick to do color. You know, look, Wipeout's a big fucking Wipeout's going on season 7, right?
Sideline reporter.
Yeah.
Now, can this please be a TV event so that it, instead of airing like every Monday at 7, it airs Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday? You know what I mean? When they just do it all at once.
Mm-hmm.
Here's why it'll be popular.
Vin Bona did a little show called MacGyver. You want to know his qualifications? And Entertainment Tonight, America's Funniest Videos.
Excuse me.
Yeah. Who's Vin Bona? Who's Vin Bona not?
Oh, Vin Bona.
Yeah.
Christ. All right. Done a ton of shows. Anyway, just get him on the blower. Let's get this thing made.
Weren't we doing the news?
I feel like, and this is why I'm good in the room, as they say, it captures what everyone is, it's just on the tip of all Americans' tongues right now. All this airplane travel and all this stuff. Everyone's talking about it. No one's doing a show about it.
So that's what I
Very
was,
zeitgeisty.
that's what I was going to say. That's why it'll be popular. No one's done the wipeout thing. No one's ran across a river and been knocked into it. Everyone's gone through the terminal and got, how can I go through this faster? What would I do in that situation?
That's right.
Play along at home element.
I like it. All right.
Now, how do you feel about people who wheel their bags around in an unconventional manner? Such as they have the wheels that can go any way, so they are, instead of rolling it like the way it should go, they turn it on its side and roll it. Or some people push their bags, rolling them.
I'm secretly jealous of those people, sort of like the guy who turns the seat around backwards when he's sitting down to talk
Straddles
to
it,
you.
yeah.
Like, why is that more comfortable? Aren't you burning calories?
Cool teacher.
It's always cool teacher, cool counselor.
Yep.
That's
Seat
not
goes around the other
comfortable,
way.
right?
I would say going 180 degrees off of whether it's a car or a camel seat, like anything you go, or a saddle, like anything you go the opposite of the direction that you're supposed to go in, no,
Right.
not
Imagine
more
if you-
comfortable.
Imagine if you rode a bike that way.
Yeah, maybe a baseball cap, but that's about it. All right, where were we?
So there's a company in Idaho that is making bullets that are laced with pork. It's called G-Hog ammo. And
We're going to get them on board for this terminal velocity. Maybe be one of our sponsors. Brought to you by G-Hog.
they're saying it's a defensive deterrent to those who violently act in the name of Islam. The bullets are coated with a pork-infused paint, which makes them haram or unclean, and therefore they're saying that this will prevent a Muslim who is shot with one of these bullets from entering paradise. However,
Do they make garlic for vampires? Or they do a silver one for
It's
that?
very True Blood-ish. Like
Yeah.
the show True Blood, they're constantly shooting the vampires to kill them.
yeah.
I mean, I have no idea.
Are you watching True Blood?
Christy watches it religiously, so I'm next door.
But you don't know Vin Bona.
I don't know if it's
She was setting her up for that.
But an assistant professor of religious studies at Gonzaga University, Shannon Dunn, says that actually there's no penalty for coming into contact with pork in the Quran, and that Muslims it's recommended that instead of starving, they should eat pork if it's available. So
I feel like the Muslims are lucky we're all too lazy to ever read the Quran, because every time somebody on the right or somebody from Fox News goes, it says in the Quran that if you're not Muslim, you're thus an infidel, and then you thus must be sacrificed in the name of Allah, and then some other guy from some think tank pipes up and goes, it's nothing is ever mentioned of that in the Quran. And I always just sit around and go, you guys are lucky I'm lazy. Who would have known that we all should have read the Quran? We really, like, there's one of those things we all should have done out of high school was read the Quran so we could weigh in on these arguments.
I feel like the Bible is a little bit like that. Someone could be like, this is right in the Bible, and then someone else could say, this is definitely not. And I'm not going to look it up.
I'm not going to look it up either, but I do at least believe that is a little more cut and dried. There's a lot of this is not what it means. There's that. But the Quran, I feel like people they're all over the road on the Quran. And I'm never really going to call either one of them a liar because I'm way too lazy to ever kick back and read the Quran. They have Quran on cassette. That I would listen to.
I'm sure they do.
Hi, I'm Morgan Freeman.
I'll say who narrated. Morgan Freeman?
Well, Liev Schreiber, I know he's Jewish.
He works a lot.
But he does do a hell of a VO.
Yeah. You seen those NFL?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, pretty good.
I don't know if we could get the Quran guys to sign off on a Jew doing the narrating, but I think we work on it. You know, you want the best product, is what I would argue. So the pork bullet, which is, by the way, the name of my joint. That's what I used to call my dick in high school. The pork bullet is not going to work.
It's not going to work. Well, it's seemingly not, no.
Okay. But still. I think...
It'll still kill them.
Right.
I mean,
and if you
accomplish the ultimate goal.
Well, here's my thing is, if you gave a Muslim jihadist the choice between being taken down by a regular bullet or a pork bullet, they would have to take the regular bullet. But if you gave me the choice, I'd take the pork all day long.
It's true.
Why?
The meaty goodness coursing through your veins.
Your last
thought is a smoky bacon kind of goodness. Like you'd just be laying there going, I'm hovering above myself. I smell bacon.
Yeah. You see a white light and loved ones are offering you pork products.
That's right. Pork chops and, pork rolls and things like that. And bacon wrap stuff. I'd like my last, look, your choice isn't between a pork bullet and a relaxation massage. Yeah, it's between a pork bullet and just a lead bullet.
Right. They should make other kinds of bullets for more refreshing deaths.
Yeah, like a minty flavored one, just for the corner. That's a decent thing to do. Yeah. All right.
Popsicle, because it'll melt. The heat will melt it and go inside you and you go throughout your, bloodstream.
Creamsicle, 50-50, best one ever. All right, let's do one more story and then we'll bring in Lee.
Fred Armisen has confirmed his exit from SNL. A lot of people already knew this, but it's now officially confirmed that he has left SNL. He said he left partly because Portlandia was demanding more of his time and because, quote, it felt like a very healthy, good time to do it.
He's such a prick, that guy.
Yeah, what a dick, right?
He's out of control. He's out of control. Someone's going to rein him in.
That cast had a good run together, like a long time.
They did. I wonder what it was. 8? Well, it's hard to tell.
Well, he was there for 11 years.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, he was great. He did, he is great. Yeah. Real nice guy. Been on the pod a few times, and Allison's as well, and did some good crank yankers work. Always very funny. Super talented, just sort of, he probably wasn't class clown. He just happens to be one of these guys that's super funny.
He was a musician for years and years, but always wanted to talk into the mic.
He's just a super creative, funny guy who doesn't wear it on his sleeve like a lot of
But also, tell me if you feel this way about him. The kind of guy that you could talk to for hours and walk away feeling like, I still don't feel like I really know him.
Yeah. He plays it close to the vest. Oh, not close to the vest, but he's like, most comedians have an element. Well, here's what I'll say. I've known these guys. Guys who do a lot of characters don't have a strong base, which is them. The reason they don't have a real strong locked-in base is because when you have a strong locked-in base, you're a character like Artie Lang, that kind of character. It's hard to get away from that base and just become this other person.
Right.
You're bringing that sort of base with you. So you kind of make that thing when you're Tracy Morgan. Really hard to get away from. Yeah, Tracy Morgan's like Tracy Morgan times 3. Mm-hmm. He's Tracy Morgan, He's that base. The other guys who do all the Jim Carreys of the world, face made of rubber, malleable, they don't have a strong base. Like, I don't know who Jim Carrey is. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And I don't feel like anyone really does. And I think he kind of likes it that way. Thus, he's good at the characters. That's where the characters come in, because he's not grounded in being Jim, where for Tracy and Artie, and me, it's harder to get away from the base. But he'll be missed by the SNL fans, that's for sure. But we'll get him in here soon, and we'll talk all about it. All right, shall we let's do a little wrap on news. Should we do that?
Yeah, that's the news. I'm Allison Rosen. Tip it, cunts.
That was the news with Allison Rosen.
Yeah, Lee Cheng's coming in here. We're going to talk about more patent trolling, and he's really done the Lord's work. And smart dude. Went to Harvard, went to some place called Berkeley. I don't know that one, but Harvard I've heard of for sure. So we'll bring him in, and we'll talk about that next. Yeah, Lee Cheng is here. He's doing battle. He's slaying the dragon known as patent trolls. Good to see you, Lee.
Hi, Adam. How are you?
I'm doing well. So tell us a little about your background, and we'll talk about this, since we're being sued by patent troll as well.
Well, first I wanted to get something off my chest. I think patent trolls and their lawyers are all scum-sucking douchebags. And
you and your lawyer talk.
And yeah, exactly. This is a very high-level, sophisticated legalese. If I actually had a chance to hit that bar of yours on the way in here, I tell you what I really think about them.
Wow.
So
there's still time.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere. So
why are these people such a scourge on our society and our system?
They are actually just the latest manifestation of what I call legal entrepreneurs. I mean, it's very lawyer-driven litigation. Lawyers, they're scourges because they find and they exploit repeated weaknesses in our legal system to essentially just extort money from honest businesses and individuals and entrepreneurs. And to some extent, we're very fortunate. We live in a very, very rich society, and we can afford these private taxes. And what these guys do is they'll file lawsuits now, sometimes against hundreds and hundreds, thousands of people, individuals, entrepreneurs like yourself, small companies, small businesses. And they count on the fact that, number one, cost of defense is very, very high in the United States. Just going to court, responding to a lawsuit someone files with no preparation at all, just a form, costs thousands of dollars.
It's a form of extortion. If I say to you, give me your pants, and you go, I don't want to give you my pants.
But
and
for
you,
Adam, I'd give you my pants.
If you don't give me your pants, you're going to have to walk 20 miles in a circle. And you're like, and then someone next to you goes, oh, fuck it, just give him his pants. It's going to be a lot it's going to be a lot easier than what you're going to have to do. It's going to be time consuming. It's going to be expensive. I mean, it is extortion to the extent that your choice is pay me a bunch of money. Forget about what the cause is. Just pay me a bunch of money, or I'm going to put you through a process that's going to last 5 years, and it's going to cost you $1 million.
That's right. And even
isn't that extortion?
It's legalized extortion, and we go through cycles of it. I mean, after patent trolling, unfortunately, legal entrepreneurs will find something else. Right. We have PI guys, we have securities class action guys. Even after some of these guys go to jail, like Bill Iraq, right? He lives in a $30 million house overlooking San Diego, right? Bay. And,
what did he go to jail for?
He went to jail for, I believe, fraud.
And what was his business?
His business was basically filing class action lawsuits against companies, and I think eventually he went to jail. I think they found out he was essentially, initiating these lawsuits by finding plaintiffs and hiring plaintiffs and so on and so forth.
How about just the individual that is on he or she's 150th lawsuit? How come we can't weed these people out? And I know in the eyes of the law, the 151st lawsuit may be legitimate, but haven't you used up all of your cries of wolf by
In the
then?
eyes of the law, aren't all of them legitimate? I mean, that's the problem.
Well, no, the
this
problem
is all legal.
Yeah, it is, but I'm just saying the reason you can't say stop at 150 is because at 151 some acid could have been poured in a funnel that was up your ass by Pepsi.
If only you had on pants.
Very graphic.
Yeah, I had to give my pants away. Yeah, I mean, these people.
Right. So you're saying why is someone allowed to bring this many lawsuits?
Yeah, why can't we have an approach to the law where there's somebody they're gaming the system? We all know there's lawyers that are out there fighting for children's and parents' rights, and divorce and what have you, and righting wrongs and going up against big oil companies or polluting the land that the natives live on and stuff. And then there's guys who are just out there trying to find loopholes and gaming the system, so to speak.
Well, we can, right? I mean, we can. Unfortunately, it just takes time, and it takes people to stand up and say no. It takes, in our system, again, our society is so rich, we can afford a level of this kind of private tax extraction. At a certain point in time, usually it takes 10 plus years, legislation gets passed enough, and sometimes these extortionists basically get so egregious, right? Like a number of years ago, I don't know if you guys remember, there were people in California sending letters to thousands of mom and pop shops alleging a violation of Business and Professions Code 17200 and asking everybody for $1,000, $3,000, or else they would sue them for having ramps that were 2 inches shorter than what the ADA laws required. Blah blah blah.
A lot with the handicap.
And those
guys
went to jail. Sometimes they get so egregious and so greedy that the public rises up quickly, and politicians have to listen. And they, and at this point in time, I think some of these trolls are getting egregious and greedy, like the trolls going after you guys. Very poorly advised, right? You guys can kind of talk back. The trolls going after everybody who uses a scanner to scan into email. They probably were not thinking strategically, right? And this is getting Washington to notice.
Right, because...
but it's going to be slow. Legislative change will be slow.
It's easy to do. We do this thing all the time in our society where we go, hey, listen, I'm Rob Reiner. I love kids, and I hate secondhand smoke. So who's with me? Let's put on $2 a pack for the cigarettes because the secondhand smoke's killing the kids, and the money's going to go toward the schools, and we have to then pay the medical bills for all these smokers who are dying in their early 60s. By the way, the science is out on this. You dying early doesn't cost us as much as you making it into your 90s. So that was a fucking lie. But either way, since less than 30% of society smokes, then they go, yeah, do it. Put on that $2. Let's all vote. And because all they know is the people that are paying can pay a little bit more, and it'll go toward the kids. But once everyone smokes, like everyone has a scanner, or you're affecting large groups of people, then you kind of get the notice. Like when it comes to, hey, we're going to sue Apple. They got billions of dollars. Sue them. I don't care. But then when it starts trickling down to regular folk,
mom and pops,
and it starts affecting everyone, now there's going to be an uprising, right?
In a way, it actually does really affect everyone. One of the decisions that we made when we decided to fight the trolls, and I've been in the troll wars for about 8 years now. And
Write that down for a TV show.
The troll wars.
Terminal velocity
From the
and
people
troll
who brought
wars.
you terminal
right
velocity.
around in the middle of it, right? And, I'm not a litigator by training. I'm not even a patent lawyer. And I'm a corporate lawyer by training, and I chose that path because I don't like litigation, frankly. I don't, like zero-sum games. But when I took over as general counsel of Newegg, one thing that we're very proud of is taking good care of our customers and making sure our customers can access technology products cheaply. And we realized if we settled with trolls like everybody else settles with trolls, there's a cost. We have to increase our prices to pay for it. And it's not a free ride.
Right. So much
for society.
Much like the, what do you care if that guy shoplifts? Well, they then pass along the price to us who are honestly buying the stuff. And then also there's an element, I'm guessing, of why you have to have a policy about dealing with kidnappers in Honduras, because if every film crew that got kidnapped immediately got $1 million, their kidnapping would go up quite a bit too. So this is another way of saying, if everyone can just band together, get on the same page, and not settle up with the trolls, the trolling would cease, or at least diminish.
It would diminish greatly. I don't think, unfortunately, trolling will ever cease. I think it's going to go to a level where it's going to be a true nuisance. It's going to be really so low, several $1,000s, several $100s a pop, where, I think society will be able to bear that tax until collectively, with all the other little taxes that we have to pay here and there, because of other types of litigation, it becomes too much and somebody actually reforms the whole legal system, right?
I wonder if people knew how much litigation and the legal system and attorneys just add to the cost of your basic, medication, or, whatever pills you're taking, how much of that, or car you're driving, or whatever it is. There should be a little thing like when you check out of a hotel and it does that thing where it goes, and luxury tax, and you get pissed off. You're like, I came in here, I beat off in the shower once, and I fucking left the following morning. I didn't use the spa. Now you want to run down and use the spa real quick?
I didn't even turn the shower on.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, when I say in the shower, I don't mean the shower's running. I'm not in the shower. Yeah. I'm aiming toward it. The point is this. I wish there could be a little thing on every car sticker, when you buy a new car or when you buy medication, or when you go X% went to fucking attorneys and the system, and a system that could definitely be modified and fixed.
I think that's a phenomenally great idea. I think one of the ways that trolls can be combated is exposing what they do to the light of day, right? By telling people that they are in fact paying billions of dollars. It's probably well over $100 billion a year to lawyers and to plaintiffs in settlements now. That is a tax on the American economy. God only knows how much stifled innovation in entrepreneurship there is. There are app developers getting these letters. And I could tell you, Newegg was founded not in a garage because garages were too expensive. We were founded in a shitty little warehouse in the middle of nowhere. And our programmers probably would not have been able to write a code that has helped us build through good customer service, the second largest internet retailer around, if they had to look over their shoulders every time they had to write a line of code, right?
So what is how much do you know about our case? I sadly know not much. There's a company out of Texas. I guess that's is it Marshall, Texas?
Douchebags.
Oh, really? And they
Douchebags LLC.
Yes.
They go out and they buy these patents. Do they buy them from failing companies, or where do they get these things?
That's right. A lot of these come from failing companies. So the USPTO historically, they're unfortunately underfunded, and they don't necessarily respond that well to new technologies. So in the 90s and at the turn of the century, a lot of patents were just filed and granted, and on internet, functionalities and technologies and software. We are the only major country in the world, or one of the few, that allows business methods and software to be patented. And these, nobody really thought, because I was working in Silicon Valley in the 90s, nobody thought these patents were worth anything. Until somebody figured out that our patent system had this big gaping hole. There is no negative consequence to filing a patent lawsuit if you don't have business.
The patents that were filed in the 90s in Silicon Valley, were these things that had already been created, or was it like this idea, I'm going to patent this idea, and then later that was created and money was made off of it?
Well, so somebody would say, well, I have they started businesses and they said, I have a piece of software that can essentially do the same thing as a shopping cart as a checkout process, right? For an internet business that you would see in a brick and mortar retail. You have brick and mortar analogs, something very obvious. And they would get the patent on it, but the business would literally fail because the conception of an idea, right, is not really necessarily what makes it valuable to society and very, very worthwhile. It's actually being able to bring the benefit in a way that someone's willing to pay money for.
Right. So at that point, it wasn't really being implemented.
No,
or
it was,
used anywhere.
all of these companies, a lot of them, almost all of them blew up in the 90s. They were failed companies. They went out of business. They couldn't figure out how to make a product somebody wanted to buy, or frankly, some of these patents were just very obvious ideas. Patents should not have been granted in the first place. And then, so some of these companies went through several bankruptcies, and the trolls started popping up and acquiring some of these patents or the rights to assert some of these patents. And they, after what NDP made off with from BlackBerry.
What did they make off with?
Like $612 million. Okay.
612.
They threatened to shut down BlackBerry, and at that point in time, the law was such that if you simply got a jury to say, okay, somebody infringed your patent, the patent holder could shut your business down. Mm-hmm. So thankfully, companies like eBay, God bless them, stood up and they said, we got to change the law. We got to fight. We've got to change the law in the courts. And eBay got a ruling in 2005 that basically said, no, you can't shut a company down as long as theoretically you can find that monetary damages can be paid. Mm-hmm. The case has to continue. And so RIM had to pay, BlackBerry had to pay that money, even though one of the patents, if I remember correctly, was subsequently invalidated. Mm-hmm. So once you settle, the troll takes the money and runs.
Right.
Right? And once people often ask, because we've invalidated our share of patents. We haven't lost a patent case after appeal for 8 years. We've never lost a patent case after appeal. And that's really indicative of just the flaw in the system. If you fight long enough, you will win. It just costs too damn much.
Well, also when the jury becomes more educated in who these people are and what they do to businesses and how they hurt small businesses, because I feel like the jury, I mean, holy God, when you see these trials and they see the people in the jury, half of them think the world's flat and the other half think the Kardashians should run for president. And
they shouldn't?
Well, I wouldn't mind a run, I actually.
Yeah. I'm not saying elected president. They should just run.
Mm-hmm. First Lady Lamar. But the point is, once they become more educated and they understand what these guys are doing, I think it's going to be harder in the future, especially with Obama speaking out about it and things like that, for them to win these cases. But what do you know, if anything, about the specifics of our case?
Well, I know that it's an entity called Personal Audio. It doesn't take much to figure out, again, that they're asserting a patent that probably will not stand scrutiny. I think I think read correctly, there's an effort being made and there are public resources being gathered to fight and try to get this patent blown up or invalidated. And there are processes in place to do it. It just costs money. It costs money. Very, very few individuals or companies have the wherewithal to actually spend this money or desire to spend this money. That's exactly what the trolls count on, right? They'll price their demand at something below the cost of defense.
Right.
And, what I think society has to do, what companies have to do, is to stop paying them off and letting themselves get picked off one by one. Mm-hmm. And to work together, and I think just unfortunately there are just too many trolls and too many bad patents out there. The USPTO, I think, has about in the neighborhood of 500,000 filings a year, right? When trolls are so successful that hedge fund investors like George Soros invest in them, right? And they can generate these returns with very, very little risk and cost. You're going to encourage a lot of filings of bad patents, and you're going to encourage assertions of bad patents. And the only way to stop it is to change the economics of patent trolling, to create risk and cost for trolls. Very hard to gather public resources, widespread public resources to fight trolls, mm-hmm. On a onesie and twosie basis.
I've been looking for basically, I want to do that. Take our streets back with the candle through the paper plate thing. Mm-hmm. But, let's face it, we live in nice neighborhoods and Whitey's not really getting shot by the cops, This could be our I always wanted to put a candle through a paper plate
Mm-hmm.
to try to take something back.
Right.
And it's just, like I said, I don't live in the neighborhood where there's drive-bys and
This
shit
could
like
be your
that.
opportunity, though.
This could be that. Yeah.
That's right. I
Bunch
mean,
of-
trolls are taking from the American public.
Yes.
Right? Think about what a patent is. A patent is a legalized monopoly. Monopolies are actually generally very, very bad for society. They make prices go up, and they make certain people that we don't like sometimes get very, very rich. And there's a reason why they weren't supposed to be granted, frivolously. They were supposed to be granted with care and thought, but sometimes things don't work out the right way. And so there are a lot of these legal monopolies being granted and used as giant sticks.
So what would you suggest we do? I mean, we've already talked about banding together with other podcasters and raising money via one of these crowdfund sourcing vehicles where everyone says to their listeners, hey, chip in for this defense fund, essentially, and then we're going to go back at them. That seems to be the logical way of going at it thus far, hooking up with Mark Cuban's guys and that sort of thing. But is there any more moves we should be making and anything outside of that?
Well, I mean, I think what you're doing is terrific. I think just letting the public know, letting your listeners know, right, what is going on, that they are paying, in the neighborhood of $100 billion or more a year. Collectively, and it's only going to get worse until they start telling their congresspeople and their senators, to start passing the right legislation. I mean, again, eventually, Congress does the right thing or the courts do the right thing. Trolls are very sophisticated because this is their business. They're very wealthy, sophisticated people. Most of them a lot of them are founded by lawyers, and they usually are about a step ahead of the defense by the time. Because this is not our business, right? Our business in Newegg's case is selling products online, and your business is podcasting. And what everybody needs to know is that this is happening, and that we need to try to accelerate if we want accelerate legislative reform. The trolls have already, I think, largely figured out how to preclude judicial reform, changes in law, in the sense that they can actually dismiss a lawsuit anytime they want. So what they often will do, and this has happened to Newegg now, not too many trolls sue us anymore. They'll actually file against dozens of companies, collect their couple $1 million. We stand up and we say, we don't want to give up. We're going to keep fighting you guys. They take their money and then they dismiss the lawsuit and say, see ya.
Right.
Or even
so
when,
it's basically doesn't hurt for them. They're essentially they'll go after 1,000 companies and they get paid for 800 of them, fine, and the 200 stand up. They'll go, we got paid by 800, moving on to the next.
But there are
patent.
things that people can do, and there are ways to to actually it has to be corporate America. I think that has to stand up and fund.
What is usually when this kind of stuff happens, as it pertains to change in the law and the judicial system? There's this part where we say to the Congress people, hey, you gotta do something here. You gotta change this. And then they go, all right. And then a bunch of special interest groups get involved, give them a bunch of money for their next election. And then they go, I don't know if we want to get off of ethanol because we're getting a bunch of money we're kicking in a bunch of farm subsidies, and the farmer ethanol growers union is paying us a bunch of money. And it turns into that. Who is giving them money, and why wouldn't anyone in Congress just go, this is insane, this must stop immediately, or who are they in the back pocket of?
Sounds like you're very familiar with Washington then. So
yes.
There are lobbying interests on many different, lobbying interests on both sides of this debate. Certainly in this type of litigation, you have trial lawyers, right? It's their business and livelihood, and they want litigation.
They just want litigation in general.
They like litigation very much. They try very hard to protect. There's a principle, that we protect here in America called access. They call it access to justice. That means being able to sue with impunity,
right,
without any consequence. They love that.
Right. I like access to justice.
It's called access to justice.
It's right up there. Hey, you got to show some ID. Oh, voter suppression.
Yes. And then you have certainly the trolls. The trolls themselves. This is their business, right? This is their livelihood, how they afford multi-million-dollar mansions and jet planes and so on and so forth. And you actually have hedge funds now investing in trolls. This is one of the first.
But if you're a congressman or a senator or somebody in a position of power, what is your answer? Because usually there's a bullshit answer to why I shot down this legislation that was going to shut down these patent trolls. We all know it's because you're getting money from the Trial Lawyers Association. But what's your answer? They provide a bullshit answer. What would their bullshit answer be to this?
Well, just to be fair, I've spoken to a number. I've been on the Hill a number of times, and there are many Congress people and senators who are aware of this problem, and they're working very, very hard to try to move the ball forward in terms of legal reform, legislative reform. But there are industries actually who benefit from trolling. There are industries like Big Pharma who really like the patent laws for some reason the way that they currently are, and they vociferously fight against the reforms that would really tamp down trolling.
Why? How do they benefit?
Well, they benefit because the patents that they need are heavily reliant on certain structural elements within the patent laws that they need to be able to protect incremental change. Mm-hmm. And so they tend and they're a very heavy IP type of industry. And so people have talked about, well, gee, maybe we should have two sets of patent laws, one for pharma and one for everyone else, kind of thing. So there are industries that fight against the type of the type of litigation, the type of reform rather that people have championed. But the other reason, trolls are focused. Trolls are very focused. This is their livelihoods. This is their business. They're even savvy. You don't hear too many trolls taking out ads, right? You don't hear too many trolls being willing to come on your show to defend trolling, right?
Yeah.
They're quiet about it.
It's funny.
And their lobbying is quiet. You just see it when the legislation gets drafted, and what ends up getting on the House floor, the Senate floor, is not what went in the first place.
Well, it's interesting. We were laughing about this at some point, but I was saying the tablet and the tablet are two the simultaneously oldest and newest things on the planet. Trolls, the most sophisticated and the least sophisticated two entities on the planet.
Like I've seen the movies.
Yeah, the ones that live
I
under
had the pencil.
The under the bridge trolls. I mean, IQ of a 4-year-old, right?
Like 4 feet tall.
4 feet
Crazy
tall.
Crazy hair.
Crazy. Know almost nothing about the law.
They don't even have many teeth.
They don't bring up tort reform comes up on occasion, but rarely.
Rarely wear a 3-piece suit.
Yeah.
Carry a briefcase.
By the way, living under a bridge doesn't sound like a great place to strike. I feel like there'd be a lot of A, getting peed on a lot.
Yeah.
And then B, there'd be a lot of, who's down there? Hey, you wait till I get up this rocky slope. I'm going to, I'm just going to keep going. You're lucky I'm overweight, or I'd be up on that, like, hey, Dawson, does this microphone sound weird to you? Or is that just me? I simultaneously like it when you fix things, and then it makes me angry as well. Okay. Something happened.
I actually haven't done a thing.
Huh. Things just happen. By the way, when we were talking about my horrible magnetic force field that ruins all electronics,
yes,
Chris Maxipata out there brought up the fact that every time,
yeah,
I had Lee's mic extremely hot because he's back away from it a little bit.
Because he's Asian? Say it. Say it.
I'm hot because I'm Asian. I'll take it.
There you go.
It's a sriracha
Thank
thing.
you. Thank you.
So that's what you were hearing. You were hearing extra room.
Okay, yeah. Maxipata pointed out to me that almost every time when they clip on the lavalier mic, when we're going to go out in the parking lot and shoot something, and there's 3 of them, one of them's bad, one of them's getting feedback, and it's my mic, and then he goes and takes it, and he changes the batteries, and he turns the screw, and then he puts it back on me, and it still feeds back, and he can't figure out why it's not working, then he gives it to someone else, and it works on the other person. Maxipata?
And I'd switch your mic, too, with someone else's mic, or we'd switch them around, and it would always be yours, just yours.
So is it...
You need to check your mom's biorhythm wheel. Something is amiss.
I'm giving off a weird electronic vibe. All right. Why don't we do one more news story, Alison Rosen? And so we're all going to band together. Lee, what's your T-shirt say? I'm sorry, I got to hold it up. Don't settle.
This is something that we're selling on Newegg right now to raise money to try to invalidate a patent that a troll is asserting against mom and pop businesses. We want to encourage companies to stop feeding the beast. Every time people write a check to a troll, we're feeding the beast.
Yeah, and again, it's like, hey, I want to get my camera crew back. It's like you're going to create more kidnappings if you pay these guys off. All right, let's do one more news story, shall we?
All right. So China is publicly debating, and it's very unusual that this is happening in such a public forum, whether happy ending services count as prostitution, whether that should be illegal. If you get a massage and there's a happy ending, but there's not actually intercourse. Because if there's intercourse, that would be illegal. But if it's a happy ending, is it illegal? What do you think?
I know a lot of guys. Well, actually, not a lot of guys. A couple of guys who like it a lot. This is one of those things where it's like if there's a group of 10 guys, there's only one guy that's into it, but he likes it enough for the 10.
Yeah, he's making up for it.
He's making up for everyone else's lost or unlost jizz.
Where does he... Because this article talks about low-end massage parlors or hair salons, which are advertised to customers with phrases such as, quote, hitting the airplane and breast massage. I don't know how much is lost in translation.
I had no idea how this went.
Touching the pork bullet.
But
it sounds better in Chinese, guys.
You can. Are you Chinese, Lee?
Yes.
And
you should ask Bill Clinton too about this.
I'm sure he's done some touring.
He's booked tomorrow.
These places. First off, there's apps. Although not if the patent trolls have their way. But there are apps where you go to a town and you punch that thing in, and dots start popping up around you where you can get the job done.
Thumbs up on the map.
Yeah.
But the job done specifically meaning not intercourse? Well,
yeah.
Probably there's some full-service places that offer it all.
Yeah. To me, the problem with... I don't mind the rub part. The tug part... The problem with the tug is it's sort of, I don't know, it's like me watching people doing shitty carpentry. Eventually I'd go, oh, get out of the way. Give me that. Give me that goddamn hammer. I'll take over. You don't know what you're doing. I can only sit and watch so long.
Would you feel rude doing that, though, or would you feel like it's a relief to them? Would it be like you'd hold out for as long as you can and then you'd take the hammer?
It's a weird thing. It's like me not being hit on by gay guys. There's a part of me that's like, all right, well, I don't have to bother with that. And there's another part of me that's like, what's wrong with me where I can't get hit on by a gay guy? No one's attracted to me. So there's a part of me that doesn't want to get hit on by gay guys, but there's a part of me that kind of is a little insulted by it.
Yeah.
And I'm sure as a sex worker, I would have mixed feelings about the guy going out of the way.
Right.
I'll take over.
Yeah. Just tell me the truth. Do I give lousy hand jobs?
I would imagine.
Damn
it. That's a drop. Yeah, I don't get the allure of this, but that's just me. I mean, it's one of those things, and the guys, it's like to me, it's like liver. It's like when you're fucking liver, like a Portnoy's complaint. No, when you're. There's some people that love it, and they can explain to you why they love it, and I believe they love it.
I understand
and
what you're saying.
I've never even done it, and I just kind of know,
why
not
bring
my
someone
thing.
else into something that's best handled alone?
Yeah, you're sort of beating off. It's kind of like me scooping ice cream and putting it into someone else's mouth.
Although I would imagine...
It's not kind of like...
It's exactly, yeah. I would imagine for the people that are into it, the thrill... the thrill... I don't even know if mouths are involved in that. I would think the thrill is the fact that here's this other person doing this for you.
Yeah.
Right?
I get that. And by the way, the mouth part, I understand. Like, that makes sense to me. The thrill of the other person being involved when you pay them is not a thrill to me, in the sense that if you, Lee, if you'd like to come up to me and go, wow, Adam Carolla, I've never seen you in the flesh. You're much taller than I'd imagined and very easy on the eyes. That would feel good to me. I don't know why you didn't do that, but that would feel good to me. But
my apologies.
If we stood out in the parking lot and I gave you $20 and I said, Lee, when you come in, give me a nice compliment, it wouldn't feel that good to me because I feel like I gave him $20. That's why he's doing it. The idea of having someone go at your joint is flattering, but paying them in advance to do it, it sort of takes some of it away.
Right. I feel like it's only money well spent if this person's technique is somehow worth the money.
And I imagine they got to know something we don't. I mean, I'm sure they're good at what they do. They have to be good at what they do because if you're bad at what you do, you're essentially doing piecework, like they would call it. Like, there's two ways you can work, and this is kind of in between. But if you hang drywall, you can get paid $20 an hour, $30 an hour, or you can get paid by the sheet. If you get paid by the sheet, you go fast because you're getting $2 a sheet and you want to get going. You know, you want to make more money. You want to average $40 an hour. You're probably not getting paid until the guy's done.
Oh, I see.
So if you're going to be really shitty at hanging drywall, it's going to take you a while to get that joint compound out of there.
Right.
Adam, you're just an old school romantic. You know, different folks, different strokes.
Strokes, literally. I should work for Hallmark. All I'm saying is you show me someone who's bad at the tug part, and I'm going to show you someone who's not making as much as they possibly can on an 8-hour shift.
Is there
Leah's tickled.
such a thing as being too good too fast though? Like if
I don't
you pay
think
for
so.
a happy, but here you're a dude, you pay for a happy ending, and then it's like boom.
You've done this before.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
No, I'll tell you why. Because
would you feel like you had been cheated?
No, because after the boom, you immediately go in. What's the boom? Go to the boom.
Boom.
After the boom, you immediately go into the. Oh, Jesus Christ! I have kids. Oh fuck! That could $120. What the fuck, sweetie? I'm sorry. I know your stepdad probably abused you. I gotta get my shit and get out of here. This is bad. This is stupid. I shouldn't be. I'm going to a library or a church.
So you're saying the
I'm
less
beating off,
the
but-
less the less time, the better.
I think once the guy goes into the refractory, he's immediately in kind of look at my pants and shit.
So
Oh
much
God.
regret.
Yeah. Oh, if my dead Nana could see this. You know, they go immediately into that. It's regret refractory.
And your friends who are into this, do they experience that kind of guilt as well?
I didn't peel that onion.
I can see why you wouldn't. 'Cause
Well,
I
what
would
do
just
I
think
want?
if
Guys, a heap of tears in front of me? Trying to fucking have a beer here? It's a heap of tears. I know, I feel so filthy.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Yeah. I don't have a lot of friends that are into it, but I've talked to dudes who are, and it seems to serve them well. Mm-hmm.
And they do this in relationships too? Or is this in the lean times?
They will, I think it's a way of life. Mm-hmm. I think it's a way of life.
Lee, did you see the interview going this way?
This is very, very exciting.
But should this be considered sex? No. I'll tell you why. It is a sexual act, but women do not realize how far away from sex this sort of is for a dude. Meaning there's things that women can do. We use the women's yardstick to measure intimacy. It's weird. We do everything else the dude's way, but when it comes to relationships and sex and sexual encounters and stuff like that, we use a woman's yardstick. So we sort of look through the spectacles of a woman when we go this. And if a woman was out engaging in this behavior, it would be sort of egregious. It'd be like, oh, the relationship's on the rocks and she's lost
cheating.
love and she's cheating. Guy goes and does this. It really means nothing other than it's almost a therapeutical, physical like release. A woman can get completely nude and be rubbed for an hour by an attractive guy with strong hands and oil all over her body, and that's just at Burke Williams. We don't count that as a sexual experience, even though the woman is naked and there's a strange dude putting hands in hinter regions and lens and things like that.
I may have the wrong job.
And that's not, we don't frown on that. This is, that could probably be as intimate and therapeutic and whatever to a woman as a guy just getting a rub and tug. You know, I mean, a woman wouldn't come home from that and a guy wouldn't be like, well, this relationship is on the skids, you know. It's basically the same thing for the dude. We won't, as a society, we won't really acknowledge that, but it really is. It might even help some relationships.
All right, then.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I should bring it home again.
No, that's done. You've brought it home.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. As some of you may know, my next movie is underway, and this time you get to help fund anything.com/Adam. Take a look at the video and see if one of those perks flips your cookie, because we're making another indie film, and this time you guys are going to participate. Caroline's on Broadway, coming up 5 shows, July 18th through the 20th, Wiltern Theater, me and Jay Moore. And Lee Cheng, thank you so much. Where should people go? Website, newegg.com. Newegg.com, and the Twitter is @newegg. Thank you so much, Lee.
Thank you very much, Adam.
So, until next time, Adam Carolla for Lee Cheng, Allison Rosen, and Bald Brian saying mahalo.
Just tell me the truth. Do I give lousy hand jobs?
Hey, kiddies, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and catch any podcasts you might have missed at youtube.com/Adam Carolla. That's youtube.com/me.